Greetings,
Greetings,
friends and family across the multiverse. Now, I am known as the pride of New Barktown, the stalwart shield of South Philly, Ace Trainer Argent. But I am just one of your three hosts here at the Blerd Bar, the bar of the Blerds. Next, we're going to kick it to the man in the hat. You know where he is, coming from the heavens. Talk to the people, my boy.
'Tis I, hailing from the land of Sake, Shinobi, and Samurai. The boy is Godzilla personified. Ain't no other name but this to go by. It's your boy, J-Hawk. Yeah. But guess what? There's one more. He's got some plans because he's the man.
Okay.
It's his house, and it's...
Let's go.
It's Big Dan.
Big Dan.
That's right. All my shirts are 3X or more. I'm the comic book connoisseur, your Somali of sci-fi and superheroes, here to welcome you to another episode.
That's really personal, buddy.
It's the truth. I mean, I can't really be Big Dan if,
if I'm wearing mediums.
Right, if I'm out here wearing mediums.
What is and is not Big Dan.
I mean,
If there's anyone to do it,
it would be Big Dan.
it would be him.
That's right. I am coming also to you live from the 215.
215.
That's right. Currently, my name has shifted from DJ Coco Mountain to DJ Vivo, and DJ Encanto.
Ah, yes. It's like
I just continue. Yeah,
In vivo.
that'll never stop. But yeah, I'm happy to welcome you to another episode of the Blerd Bar, My Barflies. How y'all been?
yes.
That's good.
We've been great.
I would like to think so. Right, like. I would never want to go into the comments and be like, I don't know, man. It's been kind of hard out here.
If it has been kind of hard out here, let us know.
But we all
care.
are, with the exception of the one person listening in Singapore, most of us are,
Why don't they care?
I'm saying all of us are, the rest of us are like Americans. So it's kind of hard just like.
No, we got some people in the UK, don't we?
I'm pretty sure.
Them too, though, they struggling.
Boris be out
Anyway.
here.
That we out here. But Singapore might be struggling. I don't want to assume Singapore is struggling. So I
Let
just
us
was only
know,
speaking-
please. Barfly and
Barfly.
whomever you may be. Reveal yourself.
Yeah. How y'all been?
Jeez.
All right.
Well, since the last time we spoke, I actually finished the what was that? The season of Westworld? Is that third season? Yeah.
Third season of Westworld.
The
How
one-
do you feel about that?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it because for the good portion of it, there was no
Ads?
well that, but there was no like
HBO Max.
good and evil per se of the two main forces. They were just opposing forces. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm rooting for someone. I'm literally just watching how this plays out.
Dang.
So was it more like you were just like watching morality and ethics kind of war against each other?
Sure, yeah.
That's essentially what the concept was, I felt, for that season.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool. It'll be really interesting, no spoilers, but with season 4 being a thing, it'll be interesting depending on what they do. If it went from Westworld with it being mostly white people to this season 4, Westworld seems like all the major players could be like people of color.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, I'm hopeful, but at the same time, it's Westworld.
Yeah, that's real.
But
no, it's been really interesting.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Does Westworld predate Love, Death, and Robots? And if it does, is it Love, Death, and Robots?
That'd be
I
kind
mean,
of
we got Google,
but it's an anthology series.
What, Love, Death, and Robots?
Yes.
Oh.
Speaking of prequels, though, apparently Fire Force is the prequel to Soul Eater.
That's
And
what
I
people have
was
been saying.
That's
So
what the internet has
Yeah,
been saying.
the Fire Force manga has completed, right? Now Soul Eater finished in what, 2016, 2015, like
Something like that.
a while ago. And the internet has told me this. I have not read Fire Force. I have read all of Soul Eater, but I gotta go back. And I just don't know, man.
It seemed
just
like
don't know.
It seemed like it. I read that it was confirmed that this was the case, and I'm just like, so many things went left. Like, if that's the prequel,
Right.
to like, from,
How did we
Yeah.
get here?
it's just like, wow. I think it's cool. I would actually be very interested to really see how you go from Fire Force.
Now I want to
to
read it.
Soul
Right?
Eater.
Now I want to read it.
Kind of in the same vein of like, even though it's not a prequel, but Burn the Witch?
Yeah, Burn the Witch is connected.
Yeah,
to
it's connected to
Bleach,
Bleach, and
somehow.
like I think that would be an interesting. I would love to see how that universe is all connected. Like,
just Josh looks like that picture of Charlie Day. It's like,
but I thought
Just
that
keep
was
you
like,
up at night.
yeah,
Like, it's connected somehow. I'm gonna prove it.
sure. And what's also really strange, and this is the last thing that I guess I've been up to. Apparently, what is it? Sonic 3 is already like a thing.
they know what the people
and
want.
then
yeah.
Knuckles is already getting a spinoff. I'm like,
They know what
That's
the people
true.
want.
shout
I
out
did hear
to
that
Idris,
already.
but like, wow.
I mean, that gets into our episode, so I'm not gonna get there yet.
Oh snap!
But what about you, Sterling? What have you been getting into these days?
I recently purchased the final omnibus of Invincible. I've been waiting because I just don't want to finish it.
Let me know. I want to know your feelings on that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the Barflies will like to know, but Josh doesn't want to know, so I don't know what to do about that. But you can text me because we're actually friends outside of this whole podcast.
And I'll
bubble.
text you guys too.
If you start texting Barflies, I will be concerned. You're in charge.
I mean,
you're in
unless
charge
it's
of it.
consensual.
Unless it's consensual.
All
But,
right. Anyway,
I mean,
So
I'm just saying, if he got numbers out here, that's different. But you know,
E.
if he has all of the contacts of our Barflies, then we need to start putting y'all on the mailing list or something.
I
Like,
think I only have 1/9 of all the Barflies.
I would say
personal
like maybe
numbers.
1/5.
No, 20%.
I would argue
Yeah,
that.
let me know. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, do the statistics for us. Come back to us with
Or
the analytics of our YouTube that
or
we
text us. I'm a barfly, and then we'll just count them, and then we'll run the numbers.
We'll run the
Well, we
numbers.
gotta have WhatsApp for the person in Singapore.
That's true.
yeah.
That's true.
next time. Was that it?
Yeah, that's all I'm doing. I'm probably gonna finish Invincible. I might restart a run of Tack and the Power of Juju, that whole series. But please continue.
No, I want to know how you feel at the end of it. I'll still argue to this day Invincible was like the best superhero comic book I've ever read.
I mean, when you stop
And I'm
think
still reading Marvel, so I don't.
that is true. You are. But you got to remember, there is a character, and I'm not making this up. Don't Google it because it's a huge spoiler. This man's name is Dinosaurius.
It's a real thing.
Is he a dinosaur? Yes. Please continue. I'll leave you with that.
I feel like you like told them it's a spoiler and then spoiled it, but
Kind of.
I can't go back. I'm not rewinding time.
The irony.
Right. What have I been up to? I continue to keep up with the episodes that come out for Attack on Titan because I did not read the manga. So because I have not done so, this is like my first experience of AOT as it continues to explode.
Did you hit the part that's absolute bull snaps?
I
Bull cuss?
don't even know because I feel like I've had a lot of those moments. I feel like episode 1 was one of those moments where you're
Episode 1 of Attack on Titan or episode 1 of the final?
Yes, Attack on Titan was like one of those moments where someone told me to watch this show, and I said, "This is kind of tame, a little weird." And then the end, and I was like,
The first episode of Attack on Titan, at the end, I was like, they're not going to show it, though. They showed it!
I didn't know like whether or not to swing on somebody or like be like, "Yo, what is this?"
I had to call my mom afterwards. I was like, Mom, I love you, man.
So, and then to be like 4 episodes in now, once I'm that involved in a show, like I don't turn back.
Hashtag Astra.
Right.
I definitely see that.
I mean, I'm still excited for the Black Clover movie. I don't care about
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
but, yeah,
I
we'll
know
see.
you're invested, but you're just that.
You know what? I lied. I'm how many episodes into My Hero? I stopped at the Christmas episode.
I think that's like 40.
Was that 40? I feel like it's 100. That's how long this show feels.
Okay.
It's been going on. But I stopped there. I don't know why, but I can't get past that episode. I am so bored, but I want to know, like, if it's necessary to continue on for that episode.
Keep going.
I don't care enough.
It's phenomenal.
Anyway,
Any hoozles.
yeah, I feel like we lingered on what we've been doing way too long.
You guys want to go down the rabbit hole?
Please.
All right.
Take me with you.
Take me down the rabbit hole now.
Oh, everybody.
Is there lemonade over there?
Yes.
Yes.
Arthur has concluded.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
That-
DW's a snitch, as she would be.
There was a comment on
From the
on
Queen
an
of Flex.
No, from an IGN post. It was an IGN post about Arthur, and then in the comments somebody said, "I feel like DW is a cop that turns off her body camera," and I was like,
Wow.
Part of me was like, "That's really intense," but at the same time, I don't disagree.
I see how you got there.
Like the math adds up,
Yeah.
right?
All
That's
right.
25 years of our lives. Like, do you understand? Arthur has been
didn't really
around.
Oh, do you think it's gonna go to
Arthur Shippuden?
I could. You want to only
Bro,
hope.
Arthur.
Bro.
Bro, Arthur.
But no, I was gonna say, do you think
Arthur
it's,
Brotherhood. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
that'd be hilarious? If it's gonna go to a streaming service,
Well,
because
all the episodes are free on YouTube because it's PBS.
yeah, but like in another age, it would have been like, oh, get the box set, right?
No,
And
it's
now
not
it's-
Paramount Plus,
now it's
dude.
not.
Is
Now
it,
it's
yeah,
on
that's what I'm
YouTube.
saying. Like, is it gonna be on Paramount Plus or is it
No,
gonna be
YouTube.
on like
It's PBS.
Peacock?
Because it's public TV.
Mm.
They can't profit off of it that way.
It sucks.
Wait, are you telling me Cyber Chase is free?
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Starring
I don't know where, but it's somewhere.
All right, let's follow the White Rabbit, Neo.
Right.
Here we go.
I feel like Arthur was a white rabbit.
He's an arbor. Hey, all right.
A-V-A-R-K. No, I'm just saying the conversation of
Wasn't
Arthur.
Buster a white rabbit?
Buster
Yeah,
was.
there we go.
Anywho.
Yo, Arthur grew up to be a graphic novelist. I don't know if that's a success story or like
Do you think he met Doug?
no, because
You think that universe would cross?
no. But
Why
if
you
he
guys shoot
did,
that down so hard.
Because there are things in this life I don't want, and that's one of them.
Quillman.
largely because those are humanoid animals,
That just
And
opens
then-
too many floodgates.
and
No,
then Skeeter is blue. Like
Yeah, BoJack did it. BoJack has humans and animals, right?
it's not Arthur.
They're all in the same universe. BoJack.
Absolutely.
Arthur.
See, the Beastars, Zootopia,
Okay. Down the rabbit
plus
hole.
Anima. Sorry.
Down the rabbit hole. This comes from season 3, episode 6, which was the MCU bottom 5. This comment comes from, it looks like it's Neo. You'll see it. You tell me. But it looks like Neo. My biggest issue with Captain Marvel was how it felt like she was never in any real danger. I can't stand characters like Superman who are just too powerful to take any threats serious. Also, Iron Man 2 might be the biggest drop in quality between films in a superhero franchise. If they're bugging, tell them they're bugging.
Bugging.
I don't.
And I watched.
Well, hold on. Let's be clear. There's multiple points being made here.
Okay.
So, to answer or at least respond to the Captain Marvel thing,
One.
I think what they were trying to do for Captain Marvel's movie did not equate to what Captain Marvel is in the ethos of the character. Like she doesn't always like walk away from a punch, right? Like she can absorb energy and redirect it, but it ain't always sweet out here in these streets.
You saw what happened to Darwin.
No, that was just pure racism. That's not the same. But no, this Captain Marvel movie had an agenda, regardless of how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And I will do my best to not sound whatever ist that you will put after my name, but that's how I feel. To the second point about Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Iron Man
directed
2 dropped exponentially in quality just because they were trying to do too much.
Was that the one with Trejo, though?
Not Trejos. What's his name? Mickey Rourke. That was also the introduction of Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow
and Don Cheadle.
And they just wanted to do too much, and I think that was the problem. Like there's no real story.
What? No, he was driving in the drag race.
It just
thing.
It was the demon in the bottle story, but not.
But wait,
Because then they then follow that story again in Iron Man 3.
the drag race, isn't that when the
Monaco?
dude whips the?
Yeah.
That's not Machete.
No, dude, come on. No, that's
We've
not
been
Danny
through
Trejo.
this. It's Mickey Rourke.
We gotta cut this, man. Can we
No.
start over.
This is why it's a rabbit hole.
That's interesting.
Why are you looking it up?
Because he doesn't believe us. That's
That's
fine.
true.
He was Whiplash.
He was Whiplash.
Yes.
The
Danny
character-
Trejo?
Not Danny Trejo.
You guys,
Mickey
you guys
Rourke
are just saying things
played
and not
Rip
like saying
Whiplash.
So let's talk about Brie Larson, guys.
Do we
Um,
have to?
Yes,
Ugh.
she's an accomplished actress. Captain Marvel stuff happened. There was mystery in the World Mind. Yes.
Supreme Intelligence?
There we go. Thank you.
I assumed you were talking about Kree stuff, and I was like, Supreme Intelligence? I think that's what it was.
Because World Mind's what?
Kind of. They're all
Ah,
a thing.
but in any event, stuff happened, and I think we can all agree that stuff happened.
Sure. I will say with Iron Man 2, I don't remember it. I just remember that part. I remember him racing and then like
That was the
it
highlight
was
of the
very
movie.
like Cars, what was that? Cars 3.
And then it was the bull about, he was like, I like my bird. I want my bird. He was really into that whole bird thing.
And Justin Hammer being annoying.
Right. There was that as well, Hammer Industries, but it was just too much going on.
Never too much, never too much, never too
On
much.
top of the fact that like Iron Man, his villains at the time, with the exception of the Mandarin, which was deeply racist, you couldn't do it. So they were trying to do like tech villain versus tech hero, and it just didn't connect.
Wait, what
So
about the Chameleon? Is that not technically Iron Man? Is that Spider-Man?
that's Spider-Man's rogue gallery. Chameleon has probably fought Iron Man at some point, if not more than once. But yeah. Anyway,
That's
I
a
think-
rabbit hole.
that was the rabbit hole. That was a tangent. It was a controlled tangent.
Please let us know what you think about one, Captain Marvel and the writing of that movie,
Mm.
and two, the change in quality between Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2.
I don't know if it was a change in quality as much as it was like a lack of story and direction.
But then Iron Man 3 happened.
That was just a garbage fire. But no one's talking about that because that's not this rabbit hole.
That's sure. So our main topic of the evening, sticking with our Iron Man, right? We're going to talk about the MCU because we've never done that on the show before.
We're talking about a lot of things, though. Not just the MCU, but
Talking about media as a whole because we've never done this before on the show.
we're talking about the concept of universes in media, right? Like universe building, if you will. And there's a few questions to that if I could ask.
I got some questions.
I have
Okay.
bunch of
Asking all them questions. Asking all questions.
I don't know if legally we're allowed to do that, but
No, that's fine.
What's the worst that'll happen?
Right. First question. Is there an expiration date for universes? Not just the MCU. We're talking about DCEU, Star Wars, etc. And if
CW.
so, the CW, Arrowverse. If so, when do you think that is? Examples of end of an era would be like at one point vampires was a thing, right? Like
Vampires are still a thing.
vampires are still a thing.
Vampires are always going to... They're about to redo Interview with a Vampire as a
But-
show now.
but
It's
they're
already
about to
done.
redo it. But the thing is, for a while now, it's been superheroes.
All right, we got to talk about like... All right, so disclaimer.
And
our,
or
our
zombies.
circles are not representative of all the circles that there are.
Because there's a lot of universes now. Like there's,
Now there are a lot of universes.
but I think that's just the way that we're doing storytelling, right?
Sure, but the
To,
question
an-
is,
to
is
answer
going
that
to
question, I don't know if that ends because we've just transitioned from a form of storytelling that stopped being on the walls and stopped being in marble statues and pyramids. Like that's all we just transitioned. I don't think there's an expiration date because it's just a transition of the form of storytelling.
When you think about it, mythology was a universe. When you think
That's what,
about
but
it,
that's what I'm saying. Like
they're all...
we're at the beginning stages of mythology, in its next level or form.
My only question with that, though, is because I think with visual media of like movies and such, movies and TV shows.
So you're talking about like the golden age of like movies and things like that.
Could be, yeah, but like if you look at what is it, James Bond, he had his like own little universe.
Yeah,
he still does.
Sure, but he was like the only one. It wasn't a main, like it wasn't a bunch of universes. It was him. And who else? Maybe the Lone Ranger.
Well, I mean, the Lone Ranger had TV shows, right?
And radio shows.
Yeah.
So Bond. Okay, so how did?
Because if you think so, like there was a time where literally I feel like every other movie coming out has something to do with vampires. That is no longer the case.
So is it a universal thing? Is it a universe thing, or is it just like a genre?
If we're going to talk about expiration of universes, let's define.
Is the universe a genre?
Right.
So
universe.
I think Bond is what? Clandestine spy stuff. It's an
genre. Action spy movie.
Yeah, that's the genre, because Mission Impossible is also under that exact same genre.
Sure.
So is Bourne, whatever, starring Jeremy Renner.
Yo, shut up, dog. You don't talk about it. No one talks about it because it did not happen. So stop.
Jeremy Renner happened. But anyway, so that's the genre. Now, Bond has like spread across so many decades that I think the universe has been built, and now they have the books to reference from, and then they put it in film. Same with Mission Impossible. Was Mission Impossible?
I mean, I'd go as far as to argue like Godzilla.
Godzilla's a universe.
That's a whole universe.
Yeah. Godzilla, and then
that's
Ultraman,
a monster universe. Right? Yeah, those are all considered
Kamen Rider, Sentai, the Sentai heroes.
King Kong. All of those are now considered the same universe.
But haven't they? Okay. So now let's talk about.
I would argue though that King Kong was not a universe.
It was a claymation.
Yes, he was.
He got entered into a universe.
No, King Kong had like 8 movies, dog.
The old boys, the stop motion boys.
Sure.
Before Godzilla.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't say it's a universe, but I mean, I could be wrong.
So let's define it, right? Like, where does a universe start and end? So because now we have the MCU, which love the MCU, hate the MCU. It has changed the way we present media. Period. Right? Like it is now is it hit different out here. So what does it take to be a universe? So Bond has the longevity. Mission Impossible has the longevity. The MCU has the interweave stories, as does Star Wars. But go ahead.
But yeah, so I think it's not just longevity; it's the connective tissue. It's like making these like jokes or what is it, inferences to other things or statements that like connect to other things, because even in Luke Cage, right, a part of the MCU, they were talking about the incident, right? Yeah. And like everybody knows what the incident is, even though that's like in the movies, but it's a part of the universe. Yeah. So I don't feel like, I don't know if Bond has that. I feel like Godzilla had that. I don't know if Bond
had it in the same way that like villains. You thought villains died at the end of the movie and then they came back.
It was, but it's to itself. That universe references only itself. You know what I mean? As opposed to, and it's only through that one medium, because I think we only have Bond. Well, we have Bond books and we have Bond movies. Like we don't have the Netflix adaptations to reference the movies. You know what I mean?
But did the movies ever reference, like, not just in name only, but like if there was something that happened in the books
and it was only referenced in the books, so
and then like did they reference it in the movies?
Okay,
right?
Because I feel like those were like legit two separate mediums. They were like, oh, I like what you did there in this book. Let me do this here in the movies.
I think we look at the word universe different now because of the MCU,
for sure. 100%.
I also think the way that they handled it at the time. You thought you were watching individual movies, and then you kept seeing, Sam Jackson with an eye patch show up in the scene, and you're like,
"Don't hate on that."
You're like, I said what I said.
It sounds like you hating on it.
No,
it was really cool.
It was a
at the time.
it was a joke
Still
at the
cool.
time. I mean, it was a joke for what I was making it to be.
Okay.
But then after a while, you kept saying like, "Ooh, he keeps talking the same thing. Like he keeps, people keep going around offering the same deals to all these superheroes," and you're like, maybe they'll be in a movie together, and you're like, maybe, and then you're like, oh no, this goes deeper than that. So, I think, the problem with the idea or concept of universes is that other people tried to imitate what the MCU did, because the Star Wars universe exists before the MCU did, because there was just so much content, and then Disney was like, we don't have a lot of control over this. We can't buy out every author. We can't.
Disney said, "I'm shut down, stupid."
Yeah. Disney was just like, we got to give royalties to a bunch of people. I don't like that. So
I think so.
Thrawn who?
right.
That's a that sucks so bad because he's really cool. But I think that's a great, I guess, question segue of like, what made Star Wars it was just a franchise, and what makes the MCU the MCU? Like, is it that connective tissue though?
Because I would argue like universes are whatever you make them to be. Honestly,
Right.
like Lord of the Rings is its own universe.
I was
Like
saying.
C.S.
Harry
Lewis,
Is it
Lion,
because
Witch, and the Wardrobe, those are their own universes.
sure, but so is it because Marvel came out and put a name to it?
I would
They
argue
were like,
that would be
hey,
the reason.
This is a universe, and people were like, "Whoa!" And
Right.
it's like,
Because before we had universe, what did we have? Like Mythos, we had worlds, we had realms.
I mean, you had franchises.
I mean,
Branding.
you can
Right.
you can even make a case that all of the reoccurring NPCs of D&D, since we're talking about the longevity, like you got your Grey Hawks, you got Waterdeep, you got like all of these places, Baldur's Gate, that just keep coming up. You know, so do the stories do different things, and do the characters do different things in different stories? Sure, but Mordenkainen is Mordenkainen, like he's always going to come up. You know,
I mean, Star Trek.
100%.
Star Trek was doing this before MCU. I mean,
That
Star
is true.
Trek. Star Trek
That is
walked
true.
so that MCU could run.
Sheesh.
I know I'm not even a Trekkie, like, but I will argue that like Doctor Who, like those,
Oh, yeah.
there's people and franchises out here who have been doing this for such a long time already and didn't get the credit of the MCU, and it was only because of the way the MCU handled it marketing
Sure.
wise.
Yeah.
Like, your Doctor Who fans already know what this is. Like, we
We synced it.
right. Star Trek is like Deep Space Nine, Next Generation. All these things are like,
And everything Ridley Scott does apparently is all tied together. Alien,
Right.
Raised by Wolves, Blade Runner. Apparently, that's
all in the same
tied
universe. So,
that's a wild space.
Yeah, it's a lot going on.
there's a lot going on.
It's a lot going on.
I mean, even the Sam Raimi films, right before they were like MCU canon, were
That happened.
it's a thing.
Yo,
now.
Pizza Time is canon. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
But those movies were their own universe, and so I think the problem is like you said, Disney went out and branded it and was like the MCU, and so now when you say universe, you think of
Now it's like, oh, we're starting a MonsterVerse.
right.
Tried it.
I mean, they tried a MonsterVerse, which is crazy because it was a MonsterVerse, but then it was a Universal MonsterVerse, which was supposed to be like the Mummy, Dracula.
Oh yeah, that's what I
Frankenstein.
meant.
Yeah, but the MonsterVerse is actually is like Godzilla.
And,
Yeah.
Oh, like kaiju's and stuff.
yes.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So,
The Mummy starring Tom Cruise. Jeez.
Right.
I didn't even see it.
You know what's wild? I thought that was like a cool idea, the Universal MonsterVerse, like Horrorverse or whatever you want
Well,
to
see,
call
what was going to be less cool was the Mod Squad. Like, it was going to be the Monster Squad. Like, so there was a movie way back when where all of those monsters show up and like fight a
They just
darker
fight.
evil.
Oh, that's weird. I would hope that they didn't do that, or if they
No.
did do it, it would be like
No.
well written.
It was
going to
be.
That.
It
But,
was going to
like-
be the monsters version of Avengers.
I
And-
think having that would have been really cool because I've always wondered about if with Disney, once the MCU was a thing, I was like, oh no, this is the perfect time. you're redoing Maleficent and all these things, this would be a great time to do like a Disney villain verse. Like, because I'm trying to see Maleficent.
Called Kingdom Hearts. God.
I'm trying to see Maleficent
No.
and Jafar
settle down.
meet up.
I have kids that are sleeping. Settle down. Just whatever that is, you got to take that outside. Secondly,
but there's another question. Why did MCU or Star Wars pop off and Kingdom Hearts? I mean, they did well for a video game, but like, you know,
it's branding. It's branding and marketing, and Disney didn't have the permissions. They would have to share some of these rights. So if Disney can't own it, they don't want it. Like, that's how that works. I would even argue like movies like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was really good.
Which
Bad
movie, because it was just,
cool.
Hold on. Great concept, bad execution.
I enjoyed it.
I
will say,
I watched the movie countless times and will still watch it today.
I haven't watched it in a while, so it could very well be nostalgia.
No, it ain't great, but at the same time, the concept made so much sense, and like, as a lover of literature and knowing all these characters independently, and then seeing them come together, you're like, this was the MCU before the MCU. And if there was a sequel, great. If there was a third, but yeah,
what would that be about?
But
so I think our question is, can universes die? But universes have now been branded circa 2009, where as opposed to Mythos and all of these things have always been.
I don't know if they die. I just think they live
long enough to become the film.
I think they
live long enough to adapt.
No, they live in their own bubbles, right? Like,
yeah,
the fad might die out, right? Like, of vampires.
I guess that's what I meant.
Right.
The fad. If there's to be if
there's an expiration date of the fad, yes.
But
I think
it else comes back.
I think the MCU has, unfortunately, the longevity of just like people wanting to be in the know. Like, there's this FOMO around the MCU that exists nowhere else in media, where you're like, I don't know, I mean, I gotta watch it, you know. So then here you go, watching Thor 2. And you're like, I ain't like that. But you're like, I'm gonna be here for Thor 3.
Reality still.
You know?
You don't think that's gonna die off?
It'll die, but it'll die very slowly.
I think a topic
and Disney Plus will continue to like keep on that life.
But I think a topic that often comes up whenever we talk about the MCU is saturation. You know, people are tired. You know, people are interested in Wanda Maximoff, but will she sell another movie? I don't know.
And I think to that point, it brings me to the next question: is the multiverse the answer to the expiration of the fad problem? Because then, to Big Dan's point, multiverse, nothing has consequences.
Right.
So to that point, it's like, oh, well, we can just keep doing these one-offs, and like, it's still gonna be like, have we heard of the Joker? Sure, but he got a movie. Oh, I'm gonna watch that. Right, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, is the multiverse the answer, at least for the MCU?
I think the multiverse is as much the answer as, I don't know, reboots.
Oof. What? So not at all?
No, I'm not saying that, but at the same time, reboots do one thing. They trigger nostalgia, right?
And they also open up the tale to a new
audience, possibly, potentially.
And you can always change some things around.
But, you know, it could be a soft reboot. It can be straight up hard reboot. Has nothing to do with previous canon. And, you know, as long as you got enough fan base, you're like, well, we did our job. And, you know, if you walk away with surplus, you know, then you're like,
cheers.
But I think the multiverse conundrum per se does not necessarily, it kind of retrogrades, if anything. Like, and you'll think it's growing, but then no, it's not really, because then all they're doing is just explaining why Patrick Stewart and Halle Berry and Hugh Jackman are in the MCU. And you're like, okay, cool. But, you know, you can't unforget the line that Halle Berry did. Like, what happens to
Stop.
I won't.
Stop.
Oh,
it's still Black History Month. Stop.
It makes me so mad.
Hey, it was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
But I don't know.
And I think in the same way that like I feel like those movies happen, and at the time it was like, this is kind of cool.
This is kind of cool, right?
And then like you like look back and it's like, but it wasn't that cool. Will there be like, I guess that's the question of the fad, right? Like, will there be a time where we're like, you know what? Avengers was kind of cool, but it wasn't.
I think that with the continuous upgrades of like VFX and, you know, casting and storytelling and even the method of the medium, like how it gets conveyed to you, you're going to go back and be like, I don't know. I can go back and watch my Westerns just fine. I will continue. I will argue to this day that one of the top 10 movies that I've ever watched in my life is from the 1940s. Like 12 Angry Men to this day is one of my favorites. Like, I'll argue it. I would say it might be better than Citizens Kane to me, but I would never say that in front of respected,
just here on the
media
interwebs.
people, right? Just because I'm like,
let us know how you feel about Citizen Kane.
I'm pretty sure, like, if I go to like the Oscars, and I would never say it out loud, but I'd be like, I'm
gonna let y'all finish. But
we're happy for you.
But 12 Angry Men. But I think it all depends on nostalgia and who was there to see it when it came out. Like those things are designed to give you feels in the moment.
Whose strings of nostalgia are you pulling?
And
then we also run the risk of this issue once we start introducing multiverses, the same issue that happens with comics, where it's like, oh, did you read that Doctor Strange story? It's like, oh, is he still Sorcerer Supreme, or is Jericho the Sorcerer Supreme? It's like, oh, no, he actually jumped over here and did this.
I mean, what happens is you create niche within niche.
Oh, no.
So
we have to go deeper.
So that's what happens, right? Like there's people who will be continuously diehard MCU fans because of whatever. And so you're like, I got to watch it because Disney said to do it. And then, but then, there's other people who are going to fall off because they're just kind of like, I think Denzel did a really good job of Tragedy of Macbeth. And you're like, I had to pick one or the other. So
it's like, I prefer David Tennant. I'm not really a Matt Smith kind of, right? Like that kind of a thing.
So you create those weird fans from doing stuff like that. I think what I would want to know from you guys is like, what would you like to see before like those bubbles pop? Like before the fad of the superhero universes and like storytelling universes that we're kind of seeing in the media. Like, what would you want to see achieved before this all wraps up? Because I already got my Avengers movie, so I'm at peace.
I think that's really hard only because even with the birth of all of these branded universes, there is another re-emergence or renaissance happening of like Black storytelling. And I think I'm more waiting on to see what that is happening. What's happening with that as opposed to what is the MCU going to feed me?
Right.
Because honestly, like it is what it is. Like I saw, like I said before, one trailer of the Batman. I was like, you got my money. I saw one trailer of Black Panther, like the first one. I was like, they're gonna make so much money, and some of that's gonna be mine. And
I just have to accept that.
It is what it is.
Do you think, and this is off topic, and maybe we can answer this question elsewhere, but do you think that Black creators and Black media is always like a step behind the curve or the wave of the major media trends? Like we may have created it at some point and never gotten credit for it, peanut butter, but or electricity or phones, but
stoplights,
all that.
Garrett Morgan,
heart surgery. Anyway, it is Black History Month. Just go pick up a book. Secondly, read a book.
Remember that video?
Yeah, can this man finish his point?
But
I just keep saying these things that trigger me.
It's called ADHD, buddy.
But I do want to know, like, do you feel like sometimes we're a little bit behind the curve? Like the popularity doesn't kick in for us yet.
So I feel like that's a different question. Does the popularity kick in? Is a different question of us.
Because I feel like there's people out here that are doing world building, and we're not like
we just don't know about.
We're not either aware of it or we're not acknowledging it. Because Jordan Peele's out here doing something. I don't know what it is yet.
Now, what will it be? I don't know. But will I pay money for it?
Right.
Most likely.
So, I assume that there's some connection that we're going to find out about like 30 years down the line, how like all the movies were all connected. But, is that going to be too late due to the trend?
Peeleverse?
Right. The Peeleverse. Yikes.
We're workshopping the name.
Right. Jordan Peele, we need to get in touch with you.
Yes, you can send us a DM at the Blerd Bar on all social media. So I really hope somebody gets this to Jordan Peele.
You know what's going to happen? We're going to get an email of a cease and desist.
Right. Like, don't you ever.
Right. It's like, my name is trademark.
No, I think, do I think we're behind the curve? I wouldn't say that. I don't think we're behind the curve of mainstream stuff. I think we're behind the curve of getting the proper resources and exposure.
That's fair.
And I think those are two different things. And I think even resources and exposure, even though they are greatly intertwined and linked and go hand in hand, even if you have the resources, if don't nobody like know who you are because I don't know, like any number of reasons, then it's like it's just never gonna happen. I think gratefully in this day and age, you have a better shot at getting exposure, like on your own.
Do you?
I think there's more opportunities for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
As
Last
compared
question,
to
though.
the 1950s where you had
true,
to be on
true,
the
right.
table.
You were only on the James Sullivan show, and or the James Sullivan, Ed Sullivan show, kind of like, and it was like the one Negro night, and they're like, hey, this man might be on to something.
And then it's like, then you get those, what was it? Everybody talks about, especially in comedy, there was that time where it's like, there's only one black comic. Only one to do it worldwide. But like now you have so much more exposure because the interwebs. So,
well, last question, and we'll also direct this question over to the barflies. What do you think is the next trend? I want to know. My argument, and I'll throw mine out here because it'll be really quick. I think the next trend is going to just be anthology series that all wrap up at like the end of one episode. Like you're going to get like 10 episodes, and then the 10th episode will wrap everything.
It's going to connect it
all together.
Like what if?
Right.
I think that's interesting because if you think about it, anthologies
I have to watch What If.
are the
You kind of do though.
Yeah. And now it matters.
Now definitely.
It definitely matters.
But anthologies are pretty much the antithesis of the universe.
Yep.
Universes. Yeah, because it's all pockets. None of it's connected. The next trend, I'm going to say space pirates because space pirates will never stop.
Okay.
So we're going to have an uptick in space pirates.
There's always going to be a treasure planet somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Captain Harlock, always. Firefly kind of, not really pirates, but outlaws.
The Expanse is definitely space pirates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which I haven't finished, but
Is it good?
I was enjoying it. I think I would argue that might be one of like the best sci-fi TV shows out there.
Did you watch Raised by Wolves?
I have not watched it yet, but I also heard that's argued to be up there as well.
Ridley Scott.
I gotta, I have 2 kids.
True.
You know what I've watched? Encanto. Vivo. Okay. Like,
you know what I watched at the Vivo? Encanto.
Exactly.
Did you not watch Kubo and the 2 Strings?
One time, and it wasn't for me, and it wasn't for them either.
That good.
I thought it was slamming.
That's
all right.
What, Josh? What do you think is the next trend before we wrap up this episode?
I think the next trend is, you said space pirates,
space pirates,
and you said anthologies. Those are really good answers.
I thought about this one for a while.
Seems like it. I have not. I think the next trend. You know what? I think the next trend is going to be whatever people of color are doing.
Not wrong. You're not wrong.
I say that, but I feel like the next
We're
trend
about
is
to get
gonna
a bunch of TikTok dances as as a TV show.
The TikTok house.
Jeez.
The TikTok house. It existed.
It exists still
But I think it's going to be
on Netflix. There's something that's TikTok related. Like that's you thought it was I was making that up. Anyway, go ahead. Finish your statement. Let him grieve in peace.
It's been so long since I had Jack Honey.
It's great.
No, but no, I think it's going to be whatever world that we build and hits that exposure. I think there's enough bubbling and a rumbling AOT happening where it's going to be at some point it's going to tip over into like the mainstream, but it's not going to tip over into the mainstream as it usually has with like a white face attached to it. It's going to like tip over.
I believe
like
in your
ownership.
dream. I believe in that dream.
I would like. I guess it's not what do I think. It's what I would like to see.
No, I support that. But we have reached the end of our episode. I got XP and I got a quest item.
Oh snap!
That's right. I'm giving
Talent
out
clause. 200
XP. It gets you into your next level. At least if you're new and watching season 1. If you've been here a little bit, you might be already at level 7. So I don't know if that helps.
That's true.
I'm giving you a pair. I'm giving you a Noculus goggles. Let me be clear, not Oculus, Noculus. You see everything from a Negro's perspective, and so I don't know how you care to use those, but they will get you into the metaverse as a black person. And
Don't get at the people.
Hold on.
Rachel Dolezal is like,
hold on.
my time has come.
Right, hold on. It gets you into the metaverse as a black person.
Make my
But-
Negroes grow.
But you still experience life as a Negro.
She's like, no.
So the person of color, we know what that's like, but do you? Y'all have a blessed night.
Before y'all go, please make sure that you comment and let us know what you do, what skill point you put your skill point in if you leveled up. Like this video so we know what you guys like, and subscribe so that way you don't miss a post. Also check out our family. We're growing a whole fam out here.
The
okay?
links of them will be in our videos
It's true.
because there's so many of them.
It is.
After a while, if you keep listing them over and over again, we're going to miss one. So let's not do that.
No.
You don't want to do
No
that.
shade.
Right.
No disrespect.
But anyway, barflies, y'all have a blessed night.
That's my line. Y'all have a blessed night.